Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Oh, we're back. Feels like it was only 2 minutes ago that we finished the last podcast.
I know. We're all wearing the same clothes as we had on yesterday as well. Fancy that.
Such tramp.
Yeah, to be fair, I stink, so it wouldn't surprise me. But for anyone that doesn't know what's happening and going, what on earth is going on? This is part 2 of our Newcastle United versus the rest of the world, rest of the league comparison, where we take that'd be a very long podcast. Where we take all the Newcastle players, our best 11, and we compare them to the best players in the league. We did the defence yesterday and goalkeeping position. That was a very long one. We're going to be able to do midfield, attackers, and Eddie Howe in exactly the same amount of time this time. So, in the midfield, I think we all agree Newcastle have one of the best midfield threes in the Premier League. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely spot on. So, I'm going to go through the bottom of my list first. And we'll start off. Same as we did with the centre-backs yesterday. We said Fabian Schär and Sven Botman were the two that we were picking between. Obviously, Dan Burn was in there as well. We're agreed Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joe Linton are the three options. Who is the worst out of those three options, would you say?
Oh, hey.
Which is it's not a question I wanted to ask, but I kind of need to.
Well, it's ridiculous because I think as an individual player, how do you judge that? Joe Linton's the bottom of the three of them, but he's the most essential one of them as well.
Yeah, and people say they hate
100%.
playing against him.
Well, it is overall as a player, rather than how they do perform in the Newcastle team. I know that's obviously going to sway arguments, but from the sounds of things, it does sound like you want to put Joe Linton there.
Yeah, he's definitely the bottom of the three, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so, and just bear in mind, there are attacking midfielders in this as well, because we play 4-3-3. We don't play 4-2-3-1, despite everyone saying we're going to play that next season. Bugger off. So this is going to include some odd matchups. But name a player. When I name a player that's better than Joe Linton, or at least there is a debate to be had, make a noise. Elliot Anderson, Manuel Ugarte, Pape Sarr, Ilkay Gundogan, Mateo Kovacic, Lucas Paqueta, Mikel Damsgaard, Carlos Baleba, Thomas Partey, James Maddison, Justin Kluivert, Enzo Fernandez. Nick, you were starting to make a sound there.
No, it's just there's a lot of names getting called. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, this is just going to be me naming names. But Morgan Gibbs-White, Mikel Merino, Adam...
Sorry.
Oh. Is that one for Mikel Merino?
No, I'm just laughing that you put him in as a midfielder after that list of fantastic midfielders he's given us.
Mikel Merino is a fantastic player. And I know he did play centre forward for most of last season because Arsenal are the joke of the Premier League. But he is a fantastic player.
But I wouldn't take any of them over Joe Linton, though.
No, I wouldn't.
It's true.
No, I wouldn't. Some very good players there, but I wouldn't take any of them over Big Joe.
This emphasises the point I want to make as well. So, fantastic. Amadou Onana, Adam Wharton, Dominic Szoboszlai, Yuri Tillemans, Ryan Gravenberch, Martin Odegaard,
Definitely don't.
Eberechi Eze.
Oh, Eze, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop at Eze. What do you think? Is Eze a yes? He's an absolutely fantastic player, and I do think all of us would take him.
Also really good. I did make a noise at him.
Completely different player to Joe Linton, but I would have Eze ahead of him.
Okay. Would you have him ahead of Bruno Guimaraes or Sandro Tonali?
No.
See, it's weird because these teams, you're bringing midfielders in the 4-2-3-1 lineup. I would say Eze was more a comparison that we would be having with Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon.
Hasn't been playing on the left, which is weird. I thought he had as well, but he hasn't been playing on the left, which is strange.
Have you not?
I checked this morning. I double checked. He's been playing more central. which shocked me as well. Because I originally had him down as against Gordon and Barnes, but I had to change him once I had a look. But yeah, fantastic player. But are we saying he's above Tonali or Gomares?
Definitely not.
No, I said no.
Okay. Right, next up, Phil Foden.
Oh, he's such a good player.
He was poor last year.
But he was poor last season, actually.
Very poor last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on last season, no.
Okay. Bernardo Silva.
Yesterday's man. Goodbye, Bernardo.
Oh.
He was never in that. He was never in the same quality of those that you've just been listed, even when he was.
Oh,
2 or 3 years
Bernardo's
ago.
been fantastic for me. For me, I think he's absolutely fantastic. Even when he was pushed out on the right wing for seasons upon seasons. But fair enough. Bruno Fernandes. The whole reason that Manchester United stayed in the Premier League and a nominee for Player of the Season.
I don't rate
He was
him.
in our team of the season ahead of Joe Linton, wasn't he? I'm thinking back.
Mm-hmm.
I did that podcast with somebody. Don't know if I would have him ahead of Joe Linton, though. To be honest.
I honestly, I'm gonna do. People can say what they want. I honestly don't rate him.
Okay, so the Bruno Fernandes doesn't get in over anyone for you, Nick. Just to confirm.
I think it maybe his. I think I just don't like him. I think that's maybe my problem.
I understand that. He's a horrible, horrible person. I'm sure he's lovely in Portugal and stuff like that to people he knows, but to us, horrible.
Yeah.
And then we're moving on to our final 3. Moises Caicedo, the most expensive midfielder, except from
he's
Enzo.
excellent. He's excellent.
Yeah.
No.
He's excellent in midfield, even when he's picked to play at right back.
Yes, he was fantastic against us.
So you get him starting in midfield. He is a machine. He's very good.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably
How many players would you have him over? Is it just Joe Linton, or would you maybe have him over Bruno Gomares or Sandro Tonali as well?
Difficult to split.
He is a fantastic player.
I will stick with Bruno, Sandro, and Caicedo. They all end in an O there. Did you realise that? I would stick with those the top 3 in the league. Because if you say McAllister, no, not for me. He's not getting anywhere near it. And I don't know who the third one is that you've got.
I don't know who the third one is.
I think they might be the 3 best in the midfield in the league. Who's the last one you've got, Michael?
I've got 2 more. Since we're in, I've only mentioned the one. Declan Rice.
Oh, stop.
The other 100.
No, captain sideways. No.
Declan Rice has had a fantastic
I'm going to
season.
disagree here. It's only. I hate saying this because obviously now he plays for a team that I really don't like, which is obviously Arsenal. However, he is. If we were linked with anyone, I'd want it to be him because I absolutely rate him as a player. I think he's quality. He's a big fat yes from me.
Ahead of Tonali or Bruno?
To be fair, it could just be ahead of Joe Linton.
Yeah, just ahead of Joe Linton and Fernandes. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Iain.
Right.
Okay. And the final pick, arguably the best player of the season for the first 3 months, it's Cole Palmer. Would you have Cole Palmer over either Joe Linton, Bruno Gomares, or Sandro Tonali, or maybe even all tres?
He had a good 4 months of the season, and then he kind of didn't get bad, but he just slipped off a little bit, didn't he?
Oh, 100%.
Quality player,
and
though.
he was still up there with best goals and assists, despite having
100%.
arguably one of the worst ends to the season that I think you would have ever imagined.
Yeah.
It was an insane drop off.
I'm not swapping Bruno or Tonali out of Newcastle's team to bring Cole Palmer in.
Oh, okay.
I would maybe, depending on where the gap in the team was, I'd maybe pick him ahead of Rice and Caicedo. If we needed an attacking midfielder, I would.
Okay.
But if we need somebody with a bit of meat in the centre of midfield, either Rice or Caicedo would be ahead of him. That's difficult, isn't it? They're so different, the players.
Did you say ahead of Bruno? Or
No, ahead of
Jolene.
Caicedo or Rice. I'm not swapping Palmer for Bruno or Tonali.
Yeah, No, me
So
either.
you are both saying that Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes are the two best central midfielders in the league right now.
Are
Is
we
that
being
correct?
biased?
Well,
You might
you
be
know,
slightly biased, but
I
they
said
are up there.
Caicedo would be in with those two,
Top
I
three,
and I
said
yeah.
think
Declan Rice would be in.
and I think Declan Rice was going to be in from Nicola, which
That's in third.
yeah.
Didn't ask about third. He's both saying 1 and 2 is Sandro and Bruno. So I'm going to be horrible and ask is Sandro or Bruno, who's the best midfielder in the league? Unrelated to the podcast, I just fancy being
For
annoying.
me, Sandro.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Ian?
Interestingly, I think because Sandro is in the team, it allows Bruno to play 10 yards further forward, and that's when he's at his absolute best. So I'm going Bruno.
Absolutely fantastic. And who's going to get the deciding pick? Well, that's not my decision. That's yours, the people at home. And you can put in the comments who you think is better between Sandro
Go on.
Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. And, well, whoever will win will get bragging rights that they never really wanted. But it's a fun little discussion anyways, isn't it?
Well, we all know people
So-
hate me online, so Iain wins.
Okay, Ian wins. We've gone for it there. Bruno Guimaraes number 1, Sandro Tonali number 2. That was a much quicker discussion than the centre backs. I should have left the centre backs for its own part, but that's fine. I think it's clear we all really like Newcastle United's central midfield free, particularly when Joe Linton is the only one that might be replaced at any time. Yeah, tell you what, I'll go to an advert from Bionique. Before we go into our centre forward options and our wingers.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And if you're carrying on from the episode yesterday, just immediately, you're sitting there going, I heard that 10 minutes ago. What are you doing? But it was so nice, we had to play it twice. So, moving into our centre forward option, and the easiest one of the day, in my opinion. Alexander Isak is the topic. First is probably the answer, but we'll go into the discussion anyways. Is Alexander Isak better than the following strikers? Dominic Solanke, Johan Wissa, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Chris Wood, and Manchester United's new £60 million signing, Matheus Cunha.
Yes.
I think that is the most resounding response I've had from anyone from me in there. And for those listening instead of watching, he's just held up a sign that says yes, and it's aptly put. So I think that puts Alexander Isak in the top 3 for the time being, at least. He might move up to second or first. But that leaves 2 players, and one might be, well, one is certainly better than the other, in my opinion. I'll ask you, Alexander Isak and Ollie Watkins, who is the better striker right now?
Alexander
Take the
Isak.
floor.
Alexander Isak.
Is it?
Even with carrying a groin injury.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Isak moves into second, and there's only one person who realistically could battle him for top spot, I think, and that is Erling Haaland. So the Swedish player versus the Norwegian player, Alexander Isak versus Erling Haaland. Who is the better striker? Discuss. Yes, it's like I've posed it like a year 1 SATs question. Discuss.
Well, I think Isak is a far more rounded, complete footballer and scored more goals than Haaland last year. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm not decrying what Erling Haaland could do because he is a monster.
Yeah.
Fantastic goal scorer. But based on season just finished, got to be Alex Isak.
Yeah.
Okay, Alexander Isak is the best striker in the league. We've got the best striker and the 2 best central midfielders. Maybe we should be winning the lead.
There's a reason why everyone wants Alexander Isak.
That is very true. That is very, very true. So, with that, we'll move on to. We've gone from the easiest. I'm going to go to one that I think might be the hardest and maybe the harshest. Right wing, where we have Jacob Murphy. 20 combined goals and assists last season, but are you both in agreement that these names are better than Jacob Murphy? Mohamed Salah.
Sorry, can I just say, Joanne,
Oh.
this is a good time for you to go and put the kettle on in the kitchen. Just miss the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, if I get any threats through my door, I know who it is.
It's Joanne, yeah. Absolutely.
Salah's ahead of Murphy.
Yeah, Salah's ahead of Murphy,
Yeah. So we're in agreement that Mohamed Salah is better than Jacob Murphy, of course, but is Bukayo Saka, Brian Mbeumo, Jared Bowen, or Bowen, as they call him, he's not an airplane, or Morgan Rogers, are they all better than Jacob Murphy? What do you think?
Bukayo, yeah. Actually, all of them. Yeah, I think all of them. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I was expecting. So, on to the players that might cause some division. We're going to go to Chelsea first. Pedro Neto and Noni Madueke, both, for some reason, have played more on the right this season, despite I think Neto's more of a left-sided player myself.
Yeah.
But they've both played more on the right, so I've included them here. Are both of them better than Jacob Murphy? What do we think?
Madueke, yeah. I can't even pronounce his name properly. Yes, for me.
I like how you nailed the pronunciation and then went, I can't say it.
I always feel like I say it wrong.
Well
yes,
done.
for me. Because I said I would have him in our squad tomorrow if we could. And who was the other one, sorry?
It was Pedro Neto.
Also a yes from me for him.
Yeah, I think it's a yes from me as well.
Okay, both are a yes. It's not looking good for Jacob Murphy.
I feel bad. He had such a good season.
We'll move to two wingers who... Sorry, go on.
He exceeded all expectations last year. Even go back to Christmas halfway through the season, and he was coming on as a substitute for Miggy Almiron.
Yeah,
true.
It's only his purple patch extended beyond the normal length of any sort of a patch, whatever colour it is, that it's got him battling for player of the season. He was fantastic last year, but I don't think he's in the same league as some of these wingers that you've already mentioned, Michael, at all.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, to be honest.
And
so we'll move...
And some you haven't mentioned as well.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. Anthony Elanga is the next one. Obviously, we're linked with him for 50 million. And he probably would start if he came to us, wouldn't he, over Jacob Murphy?
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, so Anthony Elanga is a yes. And then we've got Ismail Assar and Dejan Kulusevski. Would you say they're both better than our boy Murphs?
Kulusevski's an absolutely fantastic winger. And he hasn't had a chance to shine whilst he's been playing for Ange, really. But think back to before those days. He was a main man in that team.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Kulusevski's a better player than Murphy.
Yeah,
and I
agreed.
think Star, I've not seen a lot. He's the Crystal Palace man, yeah?
Yes. Also scored against England quite recently for Senegal. Had a great game in that game.
Also head and shoulders pathwise above Murphy, in my view.
Would you agree with that, Nicola?
Yeah. Poor Murphy.
Go through. Have you mentioned Semenyo yet?
I haven't. Semenyo's more on the left side apparently this season, from what the stats say. Stats have him down as playing most of his games on the left-hand side. So, there's three left. I'm going to start with Savinho, the Manchester City winger. Got 10 assists last season. Had a decent campaign for his first, but didn't really stand out. What do we think?
I think we might look silly this time next year if we say that Jacob Murphy is a better player than Savinho. That's what we're here for. Check his year in a Pep team. He'll come storming through, I reckon.
Do you think?
He should do.
Based on last year, I put Murphy ahead of him because of because there's a little bit of bite. And I want Joanne to talk to me again.
It's an excellent point. Nicola, are you going to upset Joanne even more, or are you going to agree with Iain?
No, I think I'll agree with Iain based on last season's performances. Put Jacob Murphy ahead.
I was thinking I was going to have to add like Sunderland's right winger or something just to get Murphy in, get him above someone. But thankfully, Savinho's done the job for us. Speaking of Sunderland wingers, we've got an ex-Sunderland winger, and that is Amad Diallo. It's funny because some of the Sunderland fans actually think he's coming back. That's not happening. But Amad Diallo or Jacob Murphy, who is the better player at the moment?
Jacob Murphy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's right.
Ahmad is all promised, isn't he? Really, but I mean, there was one game where he came on as a sub and scored a hat trick to win the game for Man U. What game was
Southampton.
that?
Southampton, the one they were down for most of the game, and he came on, completely changed it. He has been good this year. He's been very good.
I think he's only 18. I think. I think I'd go Diallo ahead of Murphy.
Okay, and then we'll finish up with a player who I'm pretty sure where this is going to go, but Yankuba Minte of Brighton. Was it a mistake to sell him, or is Jacob Murphy better? Obviously, those two questions aren't directly linked, but I've just decided to ask one after the other. Minte or Murphy, who's better?
He's a good player.
Right now, should I say? I'm not talking potential.
Right now, Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, based on that, then Jacob Murphy, yeah.
I've seen enough Minter to think that he may well have a much higher ceiling than Jacob Murphy could ever get to.
Okay, absolutely spot on. So, with that, I want to move into our next advert. Can somebody please give me an advert from Zencastr?
I can do it. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it is super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. So we move on to maybe the most controversial figure in the Newcastle lineup. And actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you both before I go into it, because I did have Anthony Gordon down, but Iain, you mentioned Harvey Barnes earlier, and I think it's unfair if I don't give him a fair shout. So between the two of you, who is better right now, Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes? And they will be the player that we use in this little test.
If I have caused that confusion, I apologise. Anthony Gordon, I think, is one of our Galacticos, and Harvey Barnes isn't yet. I know Harvey Barnes did really well in covering for the last 10 games of the season for him. Harvey Barnes is a great player, but I don't think he's Anthony Gordon.
Agreed. So Anthony Gordon for me.
Okay, so it's Anthony Gordon that we're going with. So I'll give you 4 names that I think you're now the gist by now, but I'll give you 4 names that I think Anthony Gordon is better than. Just let me know if I'm right, or just let me know if I'm being a bit of a fool. But we'll start with Alex Iwobi. Been fantastic form for Fulham this year, but not up there in my opinion.
No, not up there.
No, not for me.
Kevin Schade from Brentford. Nope. Iliman Ndiaye from Everton, and Leandro Trossard from Arsenal. Are we in agreement that Anthony Gordon is better than all 4?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And then it gets a bit harder. So, this is probably a tough matchup territory in my opinion. Start with someone that Iain, you mentioned earlier. Antoine Semenyo. Anthony Gordon or Antoine Semenyo?
Anthony Gordon.
Okay. Do you agree, Nicola?
Oh, Semenyo is really good. Yeah, Anthony Gordon. Yep.
Okay, back into a boy. Love to see it. What about Callum Hudson-Odoi? Another player who had a fantastic season. Numbers weren't as good as Semenyo, but still had a good season.
Still a good season, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Still no Anthony Gordon
for me. Yeah, Gordon for me.
Absolutely fantastic. I'll carry on with the next 2. Kairo Matoma and Mohamed Kudus. Would you say either of those are better than Anthony Gordon at the moment. Both had poor seasons by their standards, but their standards are very high.
No and no for me. Still Anthony Gordon ahead of those two.
Okay.
I do like both of those players.
I like Matoma, yeah.
Oh, absolutely
I can't believe
fantastic.
we're getting linked to Kudus at 85 million or something, though, aren't we?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big stretch. I don't think we'd even dare pay him more than 50 for him, to be honest. But I don't work on the Newcastle backroom staff, and it's probably for the best, because we'd have signed, well, actually, we'd have signed the same amount of players we already have. So that would go well. But yeah, we'll continue on with a player that's, again, had a bad season, but is an absolutely fantastic player. And I say that, he's still got 10 goals, I think. Son Heung-min. Son or Anthony Gordon?
Anthony Gordon.
Gordon? What do you think, Nicola?
Yeah, Gordon. I'm like,
Okay. We're still back in the boy. Fantastic stuff. We'll go for the first of the two Liverpool options. There is one Liverpool option who did play up front for most of the season, but I don't think he's going to play there next season, so I've moved him here. Yes, it's my rules. I'll do what I want. But first up is Cody Gakpo. Do we think that Anthony Gordon is better than Cody Gakpo?
I do like Gakpo, you know.
He's a great
I like
player.
Gakpo, but I think he's a great team player, and I think that Liverpool moving forward is a great team, and I don't think it's down to the individual brilliance that Gordon can show.
Okay.
Got to be somebody special who can start a game against Aston Villa and score a worldie in the first minute. Come on.
Absolutely fantastic shout. And what a great game. But I'm going to move. So we're both in agreement. Well, we're all in agreement that Gordon over Gakpo.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Happy days. Next up is a player that I absolutely despise, but I am aware that a lot of people like him, and that is Gabby Martinelli. Would anyone say that Martinelli's better than Gordon?
Definitely not. Definitely not. The Arsenal fans wouldn't. The Arsenal want the replacement on the left, don't they?
Yeah.
Nicola, don't pay me off.
I'm just saying, like, well, yeah, I'd take him. No, he's not better than Anthony Gordon. Yeah, no, definitely not.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So we've only got two left that I've chosen at least, and that is Jeremy Doku. Would you take Jeremy Doku? Oh,
he's that Alan St. Maximin. That's who that is.
That's
Very good
very
dribbler.
good analogy.
Very good dribbler, and sometimes it looks fantastic, and other times it's a waste of time.
Okay, so Anthony Gordon above Jeremy Doku, and then we finish off with probably my favourite left winger in the league, and it's another reason why I've put him here, Luis Diaz from Liverpool. Would we say that Diaz is better than Anthony Gordon?
I don't think Diaz gets to the team ahead of Gakpo at Liverpool, personally, and that puts him below Anthony Gordon.
Oh, I think he 100% does. But fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry, made me laugh there, Michael. The thing is, it's so interchangeable. That Liverpool front six is fantastic, and they can only play 3 or 4 of them at a time. But I mean,
100%.
they swap around, and there's no drop off in quality when they are moving around. So they're all excellent. But I wouldn't have them ahead of Anthony Gordon now.
So we have the best striker in the league, the 2 best centre midfielders in the league, and the best left winger in the league, is what we're hearing today, folks.
The thing is that I would take Eze ahead of Gordon in the England team and in the Newcastle team, but you had him in midfield.
Okay,
Same as I would take Palmer ahead of a lot of the right wingers that you had, but we had him in the centre. So it's because of there's some nuances to be ironed out.
But I would take Diaz over Gordon.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
Couldn't give my 2 pence on that one.
I will add Eze in for the right wing, just for that argument as well, for the left wing, should I say. And then that moves us to the final position, which is actually on the touchline. Eddie Howe, let me know when I say a manager that is better than Eddie Howe. Vitor Pereira.
Can I just give you a bit of time, Michael, and say there isn't one?
Oh,
There's not. Come on. What's Howe
Who would
done?
you?
Apart
Who
from,
would you have over
apart
Eddie
from
Howe?
overcome pneumonia while qualifying for the Champions League and winning the Carabao Cup with a squad that nobody is allowed to get refreshed for more than 2 years, still playing with half the squad of Championship players that he inherited. Come on, Pep wouldn't have done
uh,
that.
I mean, we've only got the two most successful managers, one in Europa League history, one in Champions League history. But yeah. I mean, I agree. Eddie Howe's absolutely fantastic. For me, he's the best manager we've ever had. But Pep Guardiola's the best of a generation, in a lot of people's opinions, mine included. And Unai Emery has done an absolutely fantastic job throughout his career. Is he better now? Potentially not, which I guess is where the argument is. But so you're both saying that Eddie Howe is the best manager in the league.
Well, I thought we were sort of saying, well, no, I mean, that does sound a little bit, a bit of an overstretch, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, la.
I would take him over Emery, right?
Okay.
I take your point on Guardiola. Crybaby Arteta is nowhere.
I'd had him down there with like Glasner, Maresca, and Frank.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't
he
take.
wasn't. He wasn't
Wouldn't
making
take
my
Arteta.
top four.
No. Who else we got?
I think season after season, virtually from the start of his career, Eddie Howe has exceeded expectations.
He's overachieved a lot. Yes, he's had a fantastic career.
Every year he's overachieved. I know he got
Yeah,
Bournemouth
agreed.
relegated, but
So
yeah.
are we saying Pep does take that number one spot ahead of him, and Eddie Howe's number two, or?
I think you definitely got to put Pep in number one.
I know, but
Okay.
I accept that, right? But Eddie Howe hasn't got a reputation for coaching the individuality and creativity out of some £100 million players. Jack Grealish, for
Very
example, has he? Eddie doesn't play boring tick-a-tack-a, let's have 80% possession and just win because the opposition can't get the ball back off us, which is so boring to watch. Come on.
It's an argument. One defined a generation, one defined Newcastle and Bournemouth. It's on. I love what you're saying, and I do think maybe in 5-10 years' time we will be able to say Eddie Howe is up there because the future is bright, the future is special, and so is Eddie Howe. But Pep Guardiola's got a trophy cabinet bigger than my house, and you can't argue with that.
No, I get that. I'm accepting all of what you say to put him at number one at the moment. However, I don't think it's a completely unblemished report on Pep.
It's
personally.
not. No,
it's
I
not.
agree.
His last season was absolutely atrocious. I do think it's one of those where a lot of his reputation is going to come down to what happens this campaign. If he has another bad campaign, then who knows? People might be saying he's the new Jose Mourinho. He's done.
He's washed.
He's old news, and Eddie Howe
Well,
comes in as the next big thing.
He might be, but I'm quite encouraged for his next campaign because they've already spent more than 200 million on new players this year.
Yeah, they've spent a fair bit.
That is insane. Oh.
But with that in mind, I've also been doing the maths as we go.
Good.
And we had Eddie Howe sitting at number 2 on both these lists, and it means the average across every person, despite Jacob Murphy being in the bottom half of players at right wing for both of you, is 4th. Actually, hang on. Let me divide that by 2 for the centre backs. It's actually 3.4. So realistically, when you look at it, Newcastle United have the 3rd or 4th best player on average at each position, which probably tells you actually that Eddie Howe's not been doing that well, and he's actually been underachieving. Book your ideas up, Eddie. You've only won a trophy and got 2 Champions Leagues. Yes, we're obviously a little bit biased, and to be honest, where Newcastle United are lacking, as you can tell from the conversations we've had, we are especially lacking, and there is a big difference between the likes of Alisson and Nick Pope Virgil van Dijk and Fabian Schär, as much as we hate to admit it. Gvardiol and Lewis Hall, no midfielders, and ours, because ours are better than all of them, and then Mo Salah and Jacob Murphy, for example. So there are a lot of changes. We've got a fantastic squad, but are you content with your choices? Do you reckon we've got it about right?
I think it reveals that if we do make 2 or 3 first team signings, we should be up there challenging.
I completely agree.
I think if you take the points total from, I can't remember where it was. We looked at it, points total from Christmas through to the end of the season. We finished just behind Liverpool in second. That is challenging in the second part of the season. Yep. So yeah, let's put a right winger in there, a better goalkeeper in there, a little bit of creativity, additional creativity into the midfield, and we should be challenging.
All we've learned is if we add Mbeumo, Eze, and then maybe, just maybe, Ibrahima Konate, we'd be challenging for the league, and maybe a goalkeeper as well. But that's 4 signings that stands between Newcastle United and fighting for that title, and it could be happening a lot. It could be happening a lot sooner than we think. So hopefully this has cheered you up as you sit there and read that we're signing some 17-year-old from the Serbian league. And if that is the case, well, someone will come in soon. I can't promise it, but I believe it. And that's all you need to do as well. But for now, that's all from us. It's been a long pod, but we hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you next time.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.